Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to all of you joining us today. Thank you so much for joining us for our Pastoral Care and Student Wellbeing webinar here at OICB. Just going to start with some introductions and then we'll get underway with presenting the content that we have today. My name is John O'Melia. I'm the Deputy Principal Pastoral and Wellbeing at OIC Brighton. Really delighted to be here to speak to you about things that we're hugely passionate about. I'm also the designated safeguarding lead, and I would like to introduce my colleagues, Mr. Tom Layton. Tom.
Good afternoon and good morning, families. My name is Tom Layton. I'm the Director of Boarding here at OICB.
And then introduce Mrs. Claire Connolly as well.
Everyone, I'm the College Counsellor at Oxford International College Brighton.
Fantastic, thank you. Thank you both. So again, a really warm welcome to you all, wherever you may be tuning in from across the globe, and indeed if you're watching the recording here too. So to get going, first of all, I wanted to just thank you and highlight just some really lovely quotes and things that have been said about the college and about pastoral care and boarding here at OIC Brighton. And so there's some lovely quotes on the screen that we're really grateful for you having sent those in. We love hearing feedback. We love hearing how our young people are doing, what your experience as parents, guardians are as well. And so, yeah, we're delighted to hear about unwavering support of our teachers, that our teachers are conscientious, caring and responsible. We're helping young people to pursue their dreams. Absolutely, all of those great things that you've been extremely satisfied and are having a fantastic time with a brilliant array of activities. So thank you for that feedback, and please do keep that feedback coming. We are really delighted here at OIC Brighton to have 3 fantastic boarding houses. And as part of talking about pastoral care and student wellbeing, it's obviously really important that we talk about how brilliant and wonderful our boarding provision is, and to really give you an eye into that. And so, again, we're delighted that we're one campus, one community. I was delivering a year 9 to 11 assembly this morning, and there's just a real community feel about the place, about one another, and that real sense of belonging. So really great to see that across campus. And we're so happy to know that you've given us some great feedback in parent surveys about how passionate our people are. And you've got 3 very passionate people on the call today on this webinar, myself, Tom and Claire. We care deeply about each and every individual in the college. We care about their well-being, first and foremost, and we care about happiness and student experience. And we do everything we can and work very hard to ensure that every single student is fully known by our community. We know what makes them tick, we know what makes them happy, we know what makes them sad. And it's that passion that really underlines everything that we do. And then we see that as well through our brilliant boarding team and through our strategy tutors as well. And so I'm going to hand over to start with to Tom, who is our fantastic Director of Boarding. Tom joined us towards the back end of last academic year. He was formerly Director of Boarding at a large state boarding school in the UK that's very well renowned across the UK. 2,500 students. He was also the designated safeguarding lead there. And Tom brings a wealth of experience in boarding. He's worked in multiple different schools in boarding and has already had a fantastic impact on our boarding community. So I'm going to hand over to Tom, who's going to talk you through boarding and the importance of boarding being belonging. Tom.
Thank you, Jono, and a very kind introduction there. We are in the care business here, and boarding is about belonging. Everything that we do, every interaction with the student who lives away from home is absolutely crucial, and therefore developing that sense of belonging through the house system is absolutely crucial to us. So to talk about how that happens here. As Johnny said, we are a campus-based boarding provision. It's really important that we are all on the same campus and that we can have a shared culture and a shared vision and ambition across the houses as for students. I'm very lucky to lead a large and experienced team who are experts in pastoral care, who are supported both by Jono and by Claire, and by other members of the pastoral team in the day school. So each school has a house parent, who is effectively what we call in loco parentis, in the place of the parent. We can never replace parents, but we do the role of a parent, and they are your linchpin. They are your point of contact for anything that you wanted to discuss regarding your child here. We also have a college nurse, Claire Swift, who is a registered nurse and very experienced with a background in the NHS, working with both adults and young people. So a very important link there for all things medical. Obviously, pastoral care is important because actually what we want young people to be is happy and settled. And if we can get that right, then they thrive. And so for many of our students, they're looking to gain entry into the top universities. So we look at having their stability within the house, that they're well settled and inducted, and that gives them that base and foundation to thrive within their lessons and progress. Induction is very important. That goes from everything at the start of the year to traditional team building activities that you might imagine, but also being able to cross the road in a different country, being able to catch the bus into town, and that's scaffolded and supported by staff in what we call an age and stage appropriate way, developing resilience and independence so that as students become older, that they get more privilege and more independence as they go up through the college. And that's really important. And again, parent and guardian contact engagement is absolutely crucial. If we think of a triangle around the student, yourselves as parent and guardians and this college and the student all together make up that jigsaw. And so there is nothing too small. There's no concern too small, no matter too small to contact us about. The house parent team, there is always somebody on call 24/7 with a house mobile, which we can contact. We are also very aware and understanding of time differences as well across the demographic of our student body. So we are available for you, for the students first and foremost on the ground, but for you too. And how do we further develop that sense of belonging? Well, in boarding, it's about the routine and that structure. And we further develop that within the college house system. So each student is also a member of a school house, and they're named after pioneers, local pioneers who have done amazing work in their lifetime. And that goes from everything from sporting competitions to craft competitions, arts competitions, and it's something that we're really building on this year. It's very exciting. Culminated last year in a fantastic sports day, which is really well remembered. And this is about empowering students to take agency. We have some of the leaders of our houses there looking happy and smiling on the screen, and to give students real sense of responsibility, and how that we know really does develop a strong sense of identity and belonging to our community here. Thank you, Jono. There's another slide. There we go. We'll just pick up on the houses there. So each of the houses there are named after a pioneer, and that's the spirit in which we like to do things here at OICB. We like to encourage our students to be pioneers, and in whatever area that might be, whether that be in their academic studies, in a particular focus they might have, in some research they might have, but also within a pastoral setting, how they might be able to show kindness to others and develop that sense of support. Really important. So these are the college houses to which each student will be attached, and then they will contribute and compete. There's a couple of nice quotes here from recent parents and a student about belonging, about how comfortable and spacious and good the facilities are, about getting on well and supporting each other. That's absolutely what we are striving towards. And a parent here, agent of a New Year 12, they were passing on their thanks to us about how thoughtful and professional the induction was particularly. This is about this amazing close relationship we can develop both with the student on the ground, but with yourselves as parents, carers and guardians. And again, There's nothing too small, and anytime you want to pick up the phone, that's also absolutely fine, and we would welcome that. Menus and mealtimes. Food, it says an army marches on its stomach, and I would agree that boarding too marches on its stomach. We're super privileged to have an international community here of over 30 different countries represented, and therefore our menus and mealtimes are representative of this. Only last week did we have our Nigerian Day of Independence banquet cooked and prepared by the students and staff. And so this is an example of our meals. Students are expected to attend all scheduled meals. There's breakfast, lunch and supper. On a Sunday we have a late brunch and then a supper as well, and this should obviously take priority in terms of that. We also do track meals, which I'm sure you'd be pleased to know that we know who is eating and when, and we make reasonable adjustments. We know, for example, some students perhaps aren't breakfast people. They might like to get up and not actually eat until break time. That's fine. As long as we know these things, we can keep an eye on them. And every day there for lunch, there are sort of European type options, but there's also a Thai wok bar with more Asian food. So it's a really, really diverse, delicious food menu that we have. And students also get to directly input into this menu on a Sunday evening going forward. It will be student choices which informs the menus. And that's the other piece about working together and belonging, that we have really clear student leader structures, student leadership opportunities, and therefore we develop that sense of agency. We want students to be able to contribute to their experience here and for that to be positive. So food, we know, is super cultural, is super important, and it's much more than just something on a plate. We know that it really can be restorative and can help somebody's experience be much more positive.
Thank you so much, Tom, for that brilliant introduction and explanation about our fantastic boarding department here at OIC Brighton, a fantastic team of people who are so passionate about the young people that they take care of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I just wanted to point at this stage to the Q&A box as part of this webinar, that if at any point you have any questions that you are particularly keen to hear answered, or maybe you've got questions about things that we are talking about, then if you look towards the top of your screen, there should be a short little box that talks about, it's called questions and answers. We'd be really delighted to take any questions that you might have, and we'll have an opportunity to do that at the end of the webinar. So maybe you've got questions about boarding or about our pastoral care system, our wellbeing system, or indeed our counselling and wellbeing service. Please feel very free to ask questions in there. They'll come to us and we'll come to those at the end. If for any reason that Q&A box isn't working, then just pop your questions into the chat and we would be delighted to answer those for you. Right, over to the session, the part of the session now where I get to talk about two areas of college life that I'm hugely passionate about. And I'm going to start by talking about wellbeing and our wellbeing approach here at OIC Brighton. We use a stick of rock, which is a very popular seaside candy treat here in the UK. And if I were to go down the road to Brighton Pier, for example, where millions of people visit every year, I would be able to buy one of these sticks of rock. And we use it, one, because it's a local delicacy, but also two, because it's a really helpful way of explaining our well-being approach. And how it works with a stick of rock is you've always got a word that runs right the way through the middle of it. So if you were to cut and break the stick of rock in half, or you were to sort of slice it into pieces, it would always say the same thing all the way through it. And so this is how we talk about our wellbeing provision here. We talk about wellbeing running through the centre of everything we do. And so whether it's academic excellence, whether it's university and career pathways, whether it's personal development, whether it's our brilliant boarding community, whatever it is, well-being is front and centre, and a young person's, your children's well-being is right front and centre of everything that we do. And so how do we do that? Well, we've got a fantastic student support system, which I'm happy to talk about in a second, but part of that is we have strategy tutors. And so every student in the college has a strategy tutor. And where I've taught in the independent sector for many years, where even in the independent sector, a form teacher or a tutor would usually oversee around 20 students, our strategy tutors here at OIC Brighton have anywhere between 10 and 15 tutees as part of their tutor group. And what they do as part of that is have one-to-one meetings with those individuals every fortnight. And that's a great opportunity to discuss not only academic results and how students are doing, but also to talk about well-being and talk about how has their week been. And most importantly, when it comes to well-being, we refer very regularly to our ROCKS programme. And so we have worked alongside the University of Oxford. There's a fantastic researcher there called Dr. Laura Taylor that we've had many conversations with to pioneer our wellbeing programme here. So we've worked with Oxford University. We also worked with Cambridge University and used their wellbeing checker, which is an online tool that students can take, which reports back to us on how young people are doing. And we've also, in addition to that, worked alongside the New Economics Foundation, which came up initially with the 5 ways to wellbeing. And so we use our acronym of the 5 ways to wellbeing, which is ROCKS. And really simply, it is research-based and scientifically proven that if you do these 5 things, and if our students do these 5 things, their wellbeing will improve. And so if we are encouraging our young people here to relate, to socialize, connect with one another, to have a good friendship group, but also get to know new people and have new friendships, then we know that their well-being is going to be improved. We encourage them to observe. We know that we've got many aspiring medics and scientists and mathematicians here at the college, sometimes just stopping, lifting our head up from our books or our screen, and just observing the world around us is incredibly important. And part of that we're really proud of here at OIC Brighton is our location. And so we are situated just outside the city of Brighton. We are a stone's throw. You can literally throw a stone across the road to one of the UK's national parks, the beautiful South Downs. And we're about a 10-minute walk from the beach as well. And so we're surrounded by natural beauty, and we have a wellbeing walk on campus with our own woodland, where there's a walk that students can go on, a wellbeing woodland walk. So stopping, observing, looking at nature, we know is excellent for wellbeing. As part of that as well, we're encouraging our young people to care. And we know that just the simple gift of giving and how much that can give back to us and our well-being, and just give you a nice feeling. You know, you think about when we give a birthday present or a Christmas present, and we talk a lot to our students about that the importance of giving back, the importance of caring for others. And we've got some school charities or a school charity that we're going to be writing to parents about in the coming weeks for you to support and for you to choose which charity you think as a college we should be contributing towards. Keeping learning speaks very much for itself. We encourage our students every day to learn something new, and we believe that if you were to ask them every evening, what have you learned that is new today, they would be able to give you something. We know that's great for well-being, and really importantly, staying active. So we don't want our young people stuck inside, revising, working incredibly hard, which our students do, and we do encourage very high aspirations, and we want them to achieve academic excellence. Alongside that has to come the well-being piece of staying active. And so we've got a fantastic gym facility with a trained gym instructor as part of our boarding team, who takes students for one-to-one sessions as well as group sessions. We've got a brilliant outdoor space, amazing field with different facilities around, our basketball court, where students are regularly playing in the evening when they finish their prep, being outside, and the Woodland Wellbeing Walk, as I've spoken about. And as part of those house competitions, students are regularly taking part in those, as well as their timetabled physical education lessons as well. So we track this. We've got our own bespoke internal data that we gather on these 5 different things and how students are doing with them, as well as using the Cambridge Wellbeing Check. And so we've already done a survey of all of our students about 2 or 3 weeks into term to see how they're doing with these 5 areas. And then we feed that information back to strategy tutors. And so they will have the data when they sit down in those one-to-one meetings with their tutee to know your relationships are brilliant. You know, you've got a high rating for how your relationships are going, but perhaps staying active is quite low. How can we support you with that? How can we make space in your timetable, or how can we make space in your daily or weekly routines to get active? And we'll regularly track that and feed that back as a team. And so that's we're really proud of our wellbeing program here, and we are unashamedly shouting about it and wanting it to be front of centre of everything that we do. I'm in a second going to hand over to our wonderful college counsellor, Claire, but I did just want to, from a pastoral overview, just give you a bit of an understanding of who is there to support your children, the young people here at the college, who is there to support them. And our pastoral care team is brilliant, very passionate, as we've spoken about. Tom's already mentioned our college nurse, who works full-time, sees all the students, knows which medication they're taking, you know, will regularly accompany them to doctor's appointments. We make sure that all of our students are registered straight away with a local GP and support along that. Claire is obviously our college counsellor, who regularly sees students one-to-one, as well as being our wellbeing practitioner, and so really contributing fantastically to some of the wellbeing initiatives that we're doing here, which I know that she'll no doubt want to talk a little bit about in a moment. And Claire also has a great background and knowledge around social, emotional and mental health needs of young people. And so she works particularly with our students who may be having particular issues or struggling with any of those areas. And we're delighted with the work that she's doing with individuals on that. I've talked about our strategy tutors. They are the one-to-one, they're the go-to person for you at the college to speak to. You know, when it's to do with anything that may be academic based or things that are happening in the day-to-day, please do reach out to the strategy tutor. You should have recently received a sort of welcome email from them, as well as a settling in report, which would have a comment from them, comment from house parent, and a comment from the head of year as well. If you haven't received that, do look carefully in your inbox, or it will be coming to you very shortly within the next few days. Please do reach out to me if you've got any questions on that. Every year group that within the college has a head of year, so someone who oversees the year group, who's not a strategy tutor, that's able to have, you know, those more in-depth conversations with our young people. And as Tom spoke about, we've got house parents who are amazingly passionate about their students in their care, and a brilliant boarding team. We've got a team of outstanding boarding assistants who are experienced in many different ways. You'll see on the right-hand side there that there's a DSL and a DDSL. We have an extensive safeguarding team here at OIC Brighton, and there are 3 of us who are based on the senior leadership team that oversees safeguarding in the college, and we treat it as an absolute priority. The safety, happiness and well-being of our students are absolutely paramount, and so we work very closely together to support our young people. I'm going to hand over to Claire now, who's going to talk about our college counselling service. Claire comes with a wealth of background in the education setting. She's a qualified English teacher, has taught drama before, so knows everything about what it's like to teach students, and has some outstanding counselling qualifications as well. We're delighted to have Claire as part of the college, and she's going to talk now briefly about our counselling service. Over to you, Claire.
Yeah, I love working with our students at OICB. They are very, very diverse, really interesting individuals. And I wanted to just obviously say that what I'm aware of and what we're all aware of is that none of them are the same. And all of our students come with a very different set of reasons for being here, life story, aspirations. And so when I speak to individuals, I try and help each individual to reach personal goals. And so we don't just sit and have a chat, we talk about how can we move forward, how can we help you to work out that friendship problem, to consider how you're going to get prepared for Saturday's tests. And so I'm just very aware as college counsellor that although we have amazing systems, that there are some times when individuals really need us to take that specific personal journey with them to go alongside them. And so I just wanted to give you an example for my day to day. So what I've done today, for instance, as college counsellor, is I have taken lunch to someone who was really struggling to go to the lunch hall because they felt overwhelmed about how busy it was today, because they weren't feeling comfortable and confident enough to go. So I took them their lunch. I wrote a to-do list with a student where we worked out what they were going to do in terms of their studies for the next 3 days in the lead up to their test on Saturday. And also someone who was overwhelmed came and had a good cry and left saying, I'm really glad I've managed to say all that and I feel much better. And so there are just these moments when we just have to really see each individual totally as an individual and work with them. I've also got a lot of resources, so if individuals don't want to see me, and sometimes counselling isn't for them, we can signpost them to local and national organisations. We can just give them advice, a bit of support around something which they may need to know, or even just the right person within college to speak to. So sometimes I'll have to say, that's a question for Tom in boarding. That's a question for Jono. Let's let me introduce you. Make sure that you know where you're going and what's the right source person to speak to. Also, I work with the wider team, and not long ago I had to just sort of remind a certain set of students that, of course, they can just ask their teachers. Just ask your teacher if you need that support, that academic support, and they will give it to you. But I think sometimes students forget. So I liaise with the wider staff team. I make sure that we join everyone up sometimes. Sometimes things happen, sometimes our students are very sad, sometimes our students are emotional and they need some extra support, in which case we might signpost them to our local doctor's service for their mental health nurse, because they've got a specific mental health nurse. And then I would liaise with you, the parents, as well. Luckily, that doesn't happen very often, but we've got the procedures in place. We know how to manage. We don't panic. We work with the student and we build a plan that's robust and we check in on them. Also, there's a specific set of students that start later, or perhaps there's not so many individuals from their country of origin, and they might need a bit of extra support, and they might need a bit of extra support integrating into college, which I can support with, and so can all of the pastoral team. And we're just really conscious of that we are an international college, but there are different proportions of students from different countries, and sometimes that means that we need to work a bit harder just to make sure everyone's comfortable with one another. And also I get involved sometimes in just the safeguarding, just sort of let's flag this up, let's make sure that this isn't a problem that we've seen coming up. For whole school wellbeing, I've been looking at mental health assemblies just to make sure that people are aware that mental health is something that should be really focused on, that it's your number one resource is your well-being, and once you've got that resource you can do all the other things you want to do with your life. We also, I help the PSHE, which is the personal social health and education teacher, to make sure that there is aspects of the course which are going to help students to understand themselves, their bodies, what's going on for them emotionally. We know that being a teenager is a hormonal overload, and sometimes they need just that support to say, actually, yes, feeling like you're quite emotional all the time is quite normal for your age. Struggling with your sleep patterns is also something which is quite normal, but let's look at how we can help you. We also work to try and build wellbeing throughout the college in terms of a whole school wellbeing walk, which we did last year. wellbeing notice board, which I've put candy in and various other things for students to pick up and take with them. Sometimes just little quotes about, you know, focusing on yourself, focusing on your internal narrative and your person, who you are as a person, and not getting too bogged down with I've got to get an A, I've got, you know, because although that's important, you have to start from basic. Make sure you're eating, make sure you're sleeping properly, make sure that your friendships are, you know, are where they should be, and then we can build in all those lovely A stars that you are, I'm sure, going to get. And so, yeah, just building awareness around the college, because we what we really want to do is not to assume that everyone's okay, and that's something which we do really well. We just start from the point of where students are. So where are you? Let's build to make it better if we can.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Claire, for that wonderful insight into our counselling and wellbeing service. Really appreciate all the work that you're doing. And again, you can contact Claire directly if you do need to. And just a reminder that our Q&A section is open, or you can use the chat if you did want to do that. Right, I'm going to talk very briefly now about our pastoral reward and conduct system, which we are very proud of, newly launched this academic year. And just in really simple terms, what we reward, our students will repeat, and what we challenge, our students will change. And so we're looking at rewarding behaviours and attitudes and really positive things, because we know that young people appreciate being awarded and rewarded for that, and therefore they'll make a conscious effort to repeat that. And obviously there does come times where we need to make sure we're challenging behaviour that may be unacceptable or you know, unkind, and we challenge that in order to change it. And so I'm going to talk you very briefly through our ABC point reward system that we have here at the college. And so we talk a lot about our ABC, not only the rewards, but our values. And we want to encourage every student to be ambitious, to want to create a sense of belonging, and to be curious. And so these three rewards essentially fall within our three pathways that we have as a school. So ambitious students, we want to be striving to go for the best careers and university pathways that they can achieve. Belonging is about, you know, growing the individual, their personality, how are they thinking of others, how are they creating a sense of belonging for others, and, you know, learning how to become a good human being in society. And then curiosity, you know, we encourage all of our students here to remain curious at all times, and we know that curious students will end up having fantastic outcomes academically. And so we give out points. And I announced to the students this morning that we've given out over 3,000 ABC points this academic year so far. We're roughly about 5 weeks into term, so I'll let you guys do the maths on how many that is a week or a day. But there's a lot of points flying around, and there's lots of rewards and awards being handed out. And so every week we have assemblies. We have a junior and a senior assembly, or where we have our years 9 to 11 students in an assembly and our sixth form in an assembly. And every week we hand out 3 prizes to the person who has received the most ambition, belonging, and curiosity points in the past week. These totals then continue, so it's not just a weekly thing. There's a termly prize at the end of term as well, and there's also a yearly prize which will be handed out at the end of the academic year. These points are contributing towards their house totals, so those houses that you saw and heard about earlier, it's constantly contributing towards to that. And also students can get bronze, silver, gold and platinum awards. If they were to get 50 ambition points, for example, in an academic year, then they would be awarded for that. Some of the reasons they may be given for, you know, work to the highest possible standard, professional attitude, for ambition, kindness and respect, collaboratively, you know, showing empathy, for belonging. and having genuine enthusiasm, connecting knowledge, creativity, critical thinking for curiosity as well. Our students really love receiving these points. And we care and focus a lot more about reward than what we challenge. But obviously, there are times where we have to challenge, whether there's negative or unkind behaviour. And please be reassured that we do that. We take it very seriously, and we act quickly, swiftly, and robustly when necessary. I'm just going to briefly just give you the shape of the week for what happens, just so that you are aware. Everyone joins for an online assembly on a Monday for Monday messages, just to set up for the week, and then they go back to their strategy tutors and they set targets for the week. They set a wellbeing target and they set an academic target for the week. That is then reviewed on the Friday in strategy tutor time, and so we're setting weekly targets for both wellbeing and academic. We then have assemblies throughout the week, so years 9 to 11 on a Tuesday and sixth form on a Thursday. And on Wednesdays, we have a session together as a whole school called Wellbeing Wednesdays, again, with that really at the focus of what we do. And you'll see that that's on a 5-week carousel and will feature, we've already done a wellbeing walk as a whole college. We've done a college-wide quiz already as well. We've done some surveys, and to come, we've got some house assemblies, social action projects, and whole school activities as well. Some whole school exercise or yoga, no doubt, will be good fun. Our super curriculum we've already briefly touched on, but that's on the screen there for you to see. We're incredibly proud of our super curriculum, and there will be a separate webinar on our super curriculum, which is led by Jamie, who's joined us from one of the Nord Anglia schools within the family of schools in China. And again, are based along our 3 values. And so there's many activities that take place at lunchtimes, after school, and at the weekends that students can get involved in. There's some examples of some of the either student-led or teacher-led clubs and activities that your children can get involved in. Just as we draw to a close then, I would like to encourage you to please keep informed on social media. Sign up to notifications on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Keep a really close eye on that. That's the best way to keep up to date of what's going on around college. And indeed, you'll receive a weekly newsletter as well, which details so much of the fantastic things that are going on across the college. So please do look out for that. If for whatever reason you're not receiving that, or it's going to your junk mail, do have a look, and then let us know if you're not receiving that, and we will make sure that you are. So that's our time talking about student wellbeing, boarding, pastoral care, our counselling service. We're incredibly grateful to you all for joining us. We hope that you found that helpful. I am just going to check and see whether there's any questions or any comments in the chat that have come in. I can't currently see any, but that doesn't mean you can't ask them. So if you do have any questions about anything that we've spoken about, then please do email myself, Tom, or Claire, and our email addresses are our first name. So my first name you can see in the corner of my screen is jono.surname.melia@oicbrighton.com. And I'll just drop that into the chat so that if you did have any questions, please feel very free to reach out. Otherwise, as no questions have come in, I am going to dial off and thank you for your time. And thank you also to those of you who have joined us online and are watching the recording. Thank you for your time. It's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from Tom and Claire.
Thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.